Hello, everybody. It's Eliza Bloom Robinson here today, thinking about what's going on in our world, right? We've been talking about for weeks coming together. We're all in this together. And it feels like in the last couple of days, this joining together thing is splitting apart. And so I wanted to just speak into it a little bit, just with my own perception, my own curiosity, my own insights to what that might be or what that might be about. So when we kind of first came into this pandemic, right, into this global crisis, there was a sense of coming together. There was a sense of we're all in this together. And then over the last, especially just the last, for me, the last maybe week or last few days, it's been really, really apparent. And I guess it's kind of as we're starting to reopen. So we've got all kinds of people on all kinds of different pathways about what they think is right about that and what they think is wrong about that. And then those disparities, although they've always been there, seem to be growing. And the other thing that seems to be happening is that there is no truth. There is no truth readily apparent because there's 496 different ideas of truth. And it's so fascinating to me because what I think is, as human beings, we tend to think that people think like this, right? I mean, you tend to gather around people who have similar like minds, generally speaking, and we tend to think in sort of a collective thought. But outside of the let's judge that and call everybody else wrong, the 496 people wrong because there's only 3 that are close to us, right? We're not doing that, or we're doing lots of that, but I'm not interested in that conversation so much as why is this happening now? Why is there such a disparity now? And here I have 2 thoughts about that. One of them is when we live in the world of not knowing, when we live in a space of not knowing anything, our system, body, mind, heart, soul system, goes into high level of stress. And that high level of stress actually shuts down our brain. It goes into what we call the reptilian brain. We go into the autonomic, one of those nervous systems where we're high stress and our brain function goes fuzzy. And I'm not saying that all of us are in high stress, but I am saying that the global world appears to be in high level of change. And high level of change implies high level of stress. So some of the stress is we've been home too long, the extroverts haven't had enough people to talk to, the introverts are living with extroverts and they're making them crazy, and when's it going to end and is it going to change, and never mind the fear about what if I get sick or what if I don't get sick or where's my money going to come from or how I'm going to pay my rent or feed my kids, or the real, what we call the real high stressors of people who have lost people who have lost their lives, people who are really working on those front lines, who are in really, as described, war zones, war zone type experiences, right? But for most of us, we're not exactly there. So when our brain shuts down, we don't have the capacity for creative thinking or really even wise, high-level analytical thinking. One of my favorite teachers, maybe not favorite anymore, but one of my teachers, one of the people I followed a lot, is Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he uses a phrase that says, we operate, when we're not conscious, from the subconscious 95% or 99.9%, sometimes is even stated. But when we're operating in high stress, we go back into the subconscious. And in the subconscious, we have the known past. And when we create from the known past, we only get the predictable future. But when we can stop for a moment, and Joe's work is all about this, right? Accessing the quantum field, accessing the still point. When we can stop, or we can interrupt that pattern, right? Joe uses these wonderful, brilliant hour and 2 hour long meditations to do it. But what I'm discovering with my quantum buddies, my consciousness buddies, is you can pivot. And when you pivot, you can land in this space that is not being run by the automated noise of the subconscious. And when you stop, just stop the noise, like just pivot, drop, feel your feet on the ground, put all of your awareness on the ground. That's why I like to get us out of our head and into the eternal now moment, another one of Joe's terms. Or line up to a greater truth. Line up. You can feel your energy. You know, I spent my whole career in spirituality and it's been brilliant. But what I'm finding now is like that leaves me a little dry, a little thirsty. But this lining up with that which is coming, that into lining up into the being of our becomingness. And the being of our becomingness, not only individually, but collectively in this birth of a new humanity. That's, I know that we're there. And I know that there's millions who don't believe it, who don't see it. It doesn't matter to me. Because what I know is if I go hang out really in the question of why is everybody so disparate? Why is this, you know, the why can bring me down energetically, can drop my energy, drop my awareness where I get really dense and I get heavy and I go, oh, I don't know, I don't get it. And I can feel in that place, I can feel the sadness, I can feel the grief, I can feel the fear of people. But when I line up that which is coming, when I line up into what I call my essence or my soul or my becomingness, when I line up, it looks like I got cut off. We're having trouble playing this video. I don't know if anybody watching, can you still see me? All right, live again. I got cut off. I'm not exactly sure where I got cut off, but what I know I was saying is that when we line up to that place that is greater than what's going on, when we line up to that which we are becoming, into our becomingness, when we line up as a humanity who has gotten through the other side of this pandemic, the other side of this birth, the other side of this breakdown, when we go through the breakthrough, when I line up with that energy, I feel lighter. I feel excited about what's coming. I feel like I can tap into my own truth and then line up from there for a greater good, for a world that works for all. I line up there and I have, like, the judgment in me disappears. And I find kindness. Not that I haven't been kind in my life, but I find compassion. I find this universal, unconditional love that's beyond anything we've ever talked about love before. We find innovation, we find creativity, we find collaboration and connection. And we move from the separated human, the separated, like we're all separated and we're all on our own path, we're all on our own treadmill. But it's like we come on to this single, I don't want to call it treadmill, but this single path where the momentum, the exponential power of all of us coming together just like blasts us through all of the unknown. And it's still unknown, but now it's an unknown that's filled with excitement and filled with possibilities and filled with innovation and creativity. And it's filled with grassroots, people at home or in their science labs, connecting with people in their science labs all across the world to find new ways of doing things, innovative ways, creative ways, future ways of doing things. And that's really more exciting to me. Now, I just posted in this part too. It's like, well, it's curious I got cut off. So we'll just go, well, that was curious. Maybe it was my internet, or maybe it was something else, but I'm not going to worry about that. So we're having conversations like this in Voices for a New Humanity, which is a page where we're collecting some voices. I've been doing some conversations with people that are just really brilliant. There'll be another one out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, you can go back and look at the conversation with Mary Rust, the conversation with Mary Lunan, the conversation with Solara Green. They're really, really interesting, at least to me they are. And so go over there and check that out. And if this is resonating with you, we've got some really, really powerful ways to play. So just comment and I'll send you a link to find out more about New Humanity Now. And the one thing I know for sure is it is love. It is expansive. It is inclusive. It is brilliant beyond belief. I'm Eliza Bloom Robinson. Thanks for being here. Please shoot me a comment. Let me know you watched. Let me know that this is actually going out there live, because I can't really see if it is or it isn't. So I'll see you again real soon. All right. Bye, everyone.